Rock and Roll Geek Show 910.
Still rocking after all these years.
This is the story of my rock and roll butler.
This is it, the show that started it all. Often imitated, but never equal. From San Francisco, USA, online since 2004. It's the one and only Rock and Roll Geek Show. With the original rock and roll geek, Michael Butler.
Welcome to the Rock and Roll Geek Show. My name's Michael Butler. Thanks a lot for joining me. I really appreciate it. Today is Saturday, April 6, 2019, and it is 7:09 p.m. when I'm recording this episode. Thank you, Richard Fusey, for posting this on the Rock and Roll Geek Facebook page. On this date in 1998, we lost one of the true originals in rock and roll, Wendy O Williams. I'm gonna play this while I'm doing a little incantation. 1990. Okay. In 1993, Wendy O Williams attempted suicide by hammering a knife into her chest, where it lodged into her sternum. She changed her mind with the knife still stuck in her chest, called her longtime boyfriend, Ron Swenson from the Plasmatics, to take her to the hospital. She attempted suicide again. Pardon me, I'm losing my voice. I need to take a sip of this fine Tecate. I drink this fine Tecate to you, the great Wendy O Williams. She tried to kill herself again in 1997 with an overdose of ephedrine. And then, on this day in 1998, when she was 48 years old, she went into the woods and shot herself with a gun, a pistol. Ron Swenson returned to their home in the area where they lived since moving to Connecticut from New York City. He found a package she left for him that contained some noodles he liked, a packet of seeds for growing garden greens, some Oriental massage balm, and sealed letters from her. The suicide letters, which included a living will denying life support, a love letter to Swenson, and various lists of things to do. Let me rewind this. Caused Swenson to begin searching the woods for her. After about an hour, he found her body in a wooded area with a pistol lying on the ground nearby. There was a suicide note. The note was... It said, "I don't believe that people should take their own lives without deep and thoughtful reflection over a considerable period of time. I do believe strongly, however, that the right to do so is one of the most fundamental rights that anyone in a free society should have. For me, much of the world makes no sense, but my feelings about what I'm doing ring loud and clear to an inner ear in a place where there is no self, only calm." Man... Reading that makes me very sad. The Plasmatics reunion would have been one of the biggest reunions of all time if she would have just stuck it out. Chris Capel, rock and roll copywriter, writes, "At the time of her death, she was living in Storrs, Connecticut, most notable for being home of University of Connecticut. I go mountain biking up there a few times a year and always have a moment of silence when I pass her former home." So everybody, bow your heads for a true rock and roll legend and original, the great Wendy O Williams. She will be very much missed. God bless you in heaven, Wendy O Williams. I dedicate this Rock and Roll Geek Show to you. Oh, what the fuck? That didn't work out like I planned. Sorry. Fuck.
Master plan!
Alright, I'm going to edit that. Let's start it over here.
1, 2, 1, 2, fuck you!
Master plan!
secure. Master plan, Google's plan. Master plan, we get tired of news. Master plan, master plan, master plan. That's on the forest on the trees. You had me, you had me, you had me, but you blew it. You had me, you had me, you had me, but you blew it. You had me, you had me, but you blew it all away. Master plan, master plan, master plan. And there's a pistol sure. Master plan, macho man. Master plan, and there's a pistol girl. Master plan, delivery man. Master plan, we'd like to rule the world. Master plan, master plan, master plan. We'd like control of minds. You had me, you had me, you had me, but you blew it. You had me, you had me, you had me, but you blew it. You had me, you had me, but you blew it all away. Master plan, Superman. Master plan, mission to secure. Master plan, Ku Klux Klan. Master plan, we get Johnny News. Master plan, master plan, master plan. Look for the forest for the trees. You had it made, you had it made, you had it made, but you blew it. You had it made, you had it made, you had it made, but you blew it. You had it made, you had it made, but you blew it all away. Master plan.
There you go. God bless the great Wendy O Williams. Joe Klein, my longtime friend Joe Klein, did radio ads for that album Coup d'etat. He's told this story many times on the show, but he did radio ads for that album Coup d'etat, and he was doing, and Wendy O was in the studio when he was doing the ads, and he said that she was the sweetest person, and she was like this really quiet, sweet person. And then when they're walking towards the outside of the place, and as soon as she got to the front door, she changed her personality and like put on this like tough person, like acting like a, she put on the Wendy O persona. She said she turned from sweet woman to badass rock woman. But yes, rest in peace, Wendy O Williams. I wish you wouldn't have killed yourself. The Plasmatics reunion would have been one of the great reunions. Richie Stotts, John Beauvoir. Was Ron Swenson? Was he in the band? It's Richie Stotts and John Beauvoir and Wendy O Williams. I think Ron Swenson was also in the band. I could be wrong on that. Remember Reform School Girls? The Wendy O was in. It's kind of a cheesy movie, but I like the movie. She was also in an episode of MacGyver, which I never saw. But Reform School Girls was a great B flick. Rest in peace, Wendy O Williams. Guitar player for American Heartbreak, old guitar player Adam Beckvar. He still has his Plasmatics fan club membership card. I was in CBGB's once when I was in New York, and there was a girl sitting at the bar. This was like in the daytime. We were trying to get a gig or something like that. And it was in the daytime. And there was a girl sitting at the bar that looked exactly like Wendy O. And I think it was her. I was afraid to go up and talk to her, but she was just sitting at the bar drinking. Wendy O, animal rights activist. I think vegan, as a matter of fact. She worked... I'm reading this stuff from the Wikipedia. So she worked at some animal sanctuary, I think. Oh yeah, she worked as an animal rehabilitator. Yeah, Ron Swinson was the manager of the Plasmatics. All right, rest in peace, Wendy O Williams. You'll be very much missed. Speaking of Chris Capel, rock and roll copywriter, I have an audio comment. Oh, by the way, thank you everybody for donating to the Rock and Roll Geek Show. I'm not going to mention the names tonight because I'm kind of rushed to get this show done because I'm on no sleep. I went fishing this morning. I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go fishing, and I'm getting up again tomorrow at 4 o'clock to go fishing again. I've been desperate to fish, and finally I can fish this weekend. So thank you everybody for donating. You know who you are. I will thank you on the next show. Without your donations, this show would die a horrible, putrid, stench-filled death. So please keep the donations coming. And once again, God bless Wendy O. Williams. All right, speaking of Chris Capel, I got an audio comment from Chris Capel. Play that for you here.
From Connecticut. How you doing?
Up, back it up.
Hey, Michael Butler. This is Chris, the rock and roll copywriter.
Hey, Chris.
From Connecticut. How you doing?
I'm super great. Couldn't be better.
Love it. Glad to hear it. I am having a Thimble Island Brewing Company Ghost Island double IPA. Good stuff.
Okay, I'm having a fine Tecate in a can.
I'll take a sip of this fine
and I'll
beer
join
for
you.
You can make the noise.
Ah!
Very nice. Okay, so...
Oh, hold on. Before I continue the comment, Chris Capel sent me a nice package containing a couple of books. One is And Speaking of Scorpions by Herman Rarebell, autobiography of Herman Rarebell, and a book, an oral history about Kiss, Nothing to Lose, The Making of Kiss from 1972 to 1975. Ken Sharp with Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons. It's an oral history about the early years of Kiss. I can't wait to read that book. Thank you so much, Chris Capel. Back to you, my friend.
I always text you from shows, and then I never do show reviews. But here we go. I'm going to do a show review.
I'm glad
now.
to hear it. Good.
I'm going to do 4 show reviews. Really quickly. Okay, first one. Zebra at Westbury Music Fair. It's now called NYCB Theater at Westbury. It's a theater in the round. Like maybe 2,000 plus seats. I've seen Survivor in the 80s there. I saw Kansas there once. And Tesla doing their Unplugged
Westbury
show.
Music Hall. You know, I think Exodus might have played there when I was on the when we were on tour with Black Sabbath. I could be wrong, but I think we might have.
But this time was Zebra, and Zebra, as you know, was in the tri-state area.
Yes, Zeppelin sounding
bar scene with Twisted Sister, like in the late 70s, early 80s. Signed by the same guy, Jason Flom, for Atlantic Records. The show, the theater's in the round and the stage rotates, but sometimes they just put a curtain toward the back, which they did here. And Zebra did a smoking debut in '83 and never came close to it again, although their third album, 3.5, a lot of people consider their best, but I like their first one.
I do not know anything of Zebra. All I know is I think they had a Zeppelin. People said they sound like, between them and Kingdom Come, didn't Zebra sound also like Led Zeppelin? I could be wrong on that. I know they were. It was them and Twisted Sister in the Tri-Cities club scene.
The Door was the big hit from that.
What was this?
And they kind of never made
back that up.
People consider their best, but I like their first one. And Who's Behind the Door was the big hit.
I don't know that song.
And they kind of never made it nationally after that. I'm going to write about that in my blog albums at timeforgot.com. But
there you go.
Anyway, so
albums that time forgot.
They did a kind of a homecoming show and did a bunch of songs from their they have 4 albums actually. And did a couple covers, Led Zeppelin, Kashmir and the Ocean,
there you go.
Montrose cover, Rock Candy. And I will post the set list on the Rock and Roll Geek Show Facebook page once this review is live.
Okay.
And
all right.
I will go on to the second show same month, last month. Capitol Theater, Portchester, New York. Cheap Trick, February 22nd.
Okay, good. I think you sent me the set list, and it seemed like it was a really good set list, if I remember right, Chris.
You're from the show. You loved the set list.
Yeah.
I'm going to read it off to you.
Okay.
You can sing it along.
All right, my
Tell
voice
me
is
word
my voice is a little bit shot. I got a frog in my throat or something.
went wrong. Here we go.
Okay.
Hello there.
All right, that's a typical opener. Hello there, lady. That's the usual opener.
Hello Kitties.
That's a good one. Hello Kitties, they don't usually play live. Sometimes they'll play, but that's a good one. When they play Hello Kitties, you kind of know that the set could be veering off in a good direction.
He's a whore.
That's a great... So far, so good, Chris Capel.
Big eyes.
Good set.
On top of the world.
You're on top of the world and you can't get any higher. Great set.
Hot love.
Oh, yes. I love it. All right.
If you want my love.
You got lucky seeing this show, Chris Capel. If you want my love, you got it.
She's tight.
Wow, what a set.
Ain't that a shame?
Could have done
Need
without
your
that
love.
one. Need your love, need your love, need your love, need your love. Great one.
The In Crowd.
Yeah, one of the new ones.
AB loves to rock.
My baby loves to all day long. I'm thinking about...
Never had a lot to lose.
I never had a lot to lose now, honey. Great set, man.
I'm waiting for the van.
Yeah, it's Tom Peterson's. Yeah.
Tom Peterson on lead vocals.
I'm over him playing that one. I wish he'd go back to playing I Know What I Want. I like that one better than the Velvet Underground tune.
The
Whatever.
Flame. I Want You to Want Me.
Yeah, now we're back in the hits.
Off Weeder Chain, Surrender, Good Night Now.
Yeah.
Now,
But
a
the
couple
first part
things
of that
about these
set was
shows. Let me
great.
go back to Zebra.
Yeah.
2 opening acts. The first band for Zebra opening was a band called Tempt, which the singer looked like Carrot Top, but actually they weren't that bad. The second band was a quartet that specialized in 70s covers, kind of like the Butlers, but with a worse bass player.
Yeah, there you go.
And they did kind of an obvious choice of, Cheap Trick, maybe Bad Company, Styx, Journey.
That was a good cut band.
Basically, classic rock radio of the 70s. I don't know why.
The hits.
I just said that. But the
I'll join
opening
you in
act of
taking a
Cheap
sip.
Trick was this total hipster band. And the guy had such a douchebag hat and glasses. I mean, doesn't matter what they sounded like.
Sometimes Cheap Trick will pick the local opener because they know some bands in that town. So it could have been somebody that Rick Nielsen or somebody is friends with.
Looked like such a jerk.
Uh-oh, what happened?
And a couple things about the Cheap Trick show. Robin Zander's son was playing guitar.
that's right,
he was
yeah.
on the Tom Peterson side of the
He's in the
stage,
band
stage
now, I
left,
think.
but not up front, toward the back. That's weird. We don't need that. Get over it. Rick Nielsen's son was on drums. You're all adults now. Call Bunny Carlos. Get the band back together. End of story.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they'd probably be broken up if Bunny was still in the band. So, and I got nothing against Dax.
Something else to say about it, too. This is my third beer, so I'm feeling pretty
All right,
damn
this is
good
my
about
second
myself.
beer. Drink up, friend.
They brought the opening band back on for the encore, which totally sucked.
Yeah, see, they're probably friends
They were
with them.
douchebag hipsters. Did I mention I don't like hipsters?
What was the name of the band?
Oh, and one more thing. Both the Zebra and the Cheap Trick shows were kind of loose. And what I mean by loose is,
Not that well run.
they would talk to the crowd.
Oh, okay. That's
For
good.
instance, the
That's
Zebra
good.
show,
I like
he would
shows like
talk
that.
to the sound guy. He would, say, hey, bring the sound up.
Yeah, I
bring
don't
his
mind
acoustic
that.
guitar out. Hey,
I don't
this doesn't
mind
sound
that.
right. And then they'd say, hey, our families are here off to the side. Let's say hi to them. Everyone say hi to them. Hey, it's our sound guy's birthday. Let's all sing happy birthday.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
So that's what Zebra was like. It wasn't like tight. And Cheap Trick was like that too. It'd stop, and there's some kid in the crowd who was like 6. And Nielsen passes him some pics, and later they brought him on stage. Excuse me. And burping up this fine Thimble Island.
Pardon me, I'm burping this fine
Ghost Island
Tecate.
double IPA. And it kind of reminds me of Metallica, who I've seen a bunch last year, who Michael Butler did not do my show review live, which I'm still very bitter about.
Wait, Chris, I must have missed that show review. I must not have received it. I apologize for that. I usually play everybody's show reviews when they send them, so I must have missed that email. I apologize, Chris Capel.
He'd stop the show and mention about people in the crowd and this and that, but that was that. So you got the set list. Did I give you the set list? I gave you the set list.
Yes, you did.
Okay, next was, let me go to another window, Alan Parsons Project Live at
Tales of Mystery and Imagination, Songs of Edgar Allan Poe. That was the big one when I was a kid. My stepdad had that album, and that album there was probably 4 or 5 hits from that album on the radio when I was a kid.
Tarrytown Music Hall in Tarrytown, New York. And that's, if you know anything about like the whole Headless Horseman and all that stuff, that's where all that is. I've never been to this venue. It's kind of like some old classic theater. It was really good. I saw Alan Parsons live in Long Island last November when they did the whole I, Robot album, which was awesome, and they were really good. So I was like, oh, they were so good.
I don't know
I
any
want
of
to see
those
them again.
songs.
So
I probably do know.
coming,
There are probably some hits
you know,
from that. Do you have any Alan
25
Parsons?
minutes, half an hour from home, I'm going to see him again. So I did. The complaint about the show in Long Island in November was they didn't do The Raven. I heard people talking about
Nevermore.
it. So this time they did The Raven.
Quote the Raven.
But
nevermore.
they didn't do the whole
Nevermore, nevermore, never.
excuse me, the
Nevermore, nevermore, never.
breakdown like they did last time, which is part of the iRobot album. But
Is it?
whatever, 2 different shows. I liked it. It was good.
Wait a minute. I thought that was on Tales of Mystery and Imagination, the Edgar Allan Poe album.
Look at the rock and roll Facebook page, which Michael Butler did not create, but he does approve members for the set list for this show. And finally, I texted him from...
I'll defer to Chris Capel's knowledge of the Alan Parsons Project, because I'm not an authority on Alan Parsons by any means.
In theater, which was it a week ago? Well, whatever. It was a Friday night. It was 10 days ago. Today's what, Monday. So I took my oldest daughter to Jerry Seinfeld, who's doing there's a word for it, and I can't think of it. You would think I would know this being a
stand-up show?
A residency is the word.
Okay, yeah.
A residency at the Beacon Theater, which is like going on like all year long. And the Beacon Theater is like 2,500 seats in...
Jerry Seinfeld's playing all year at the Beacon Theater?
Like up in the 75th and Broadway or something.
Yeah, I did play the Beacon Theater when I was in Texas. I remember that. We opened for a Sabbath at the Beacon Theater. I remember that distinctly because my friends who lived in New York came up and they held up "We Love Michael Butler" signs hanging from the rafters. It was good times.
Way up there.
And Pat Paulson was staying. We were staying at the Omni Hotel. That was back when the Exodus had tour support. And they put us up in the 5-star Omni Hotel, and Pat Paulson was staying there. And we showered him with praise. The great late Pat Paulson.
And it's a premier theater of New York. I mean, there's Madison Square Garden for the big place.
Yes.
There's Radio City for the 6,000 seats, and there's the Beacon Theater for 25. And if you follow the Allman Brothers. They used to do that whole residency there, and
I remember the backstage of the Beacon Theater had stairs. It had like 4 or 5 levels. So because the Beacon Theater was like a 5-story building or something like that, and you walk up each floor, and I think another band's dressing room was on that floor. Good times.
I mean, I've been going to the Beacon since the 80s. I've seen Steve Miller, Steve Perry twice, ZZ Top, Roxette, Cheap Trick, the G3 tour. I'm sure Noel Gallagher. I'm sure I've seen others, but we saw Jerry Seinfeld. He was damn good, damn funny. What else do you need to know about that? That's it. I'm going on way too long.
Thank you, Chris Capel. I appreciate it, friend.
I'm probably overdue for bed, and this is 10
Me
minutes
too.
in. So,
Me too.
Chris, the East Coast correspondent for the Rock and Roll Geek Show, checking in. Stay frosty, my friend.
Stay frosty,
Bye.
friend. You too can leave me a show review or audio comment, or just call me and tell me how you love me, or tell me I suck, or tell me that you just donated $1,000 to the Rock and Roll Geek Show because it's a value for value, and you got so much value, you donated $1,000 to become, as Adam Curry says, an Insta-Night. All right. Area code 706-621-ROCK, or you can do as Chris Capel did, which is the preferred way. Email it to rockandrollgeek@gmail.com. Just record it on your phone, and you can email it right from the phone. That's the easiest way, isn't having to deal with the stupid Skype and voicemail number. It's bullshit. All right. I'm going to play a song. I'll come back. I have a couple more audio comments. Later on, I'm going to do a track-by-track as by request on the Rock and Roll Geek Facebook page, which I did not create, but I do approve people. Somebody requested that I do a track-by-track of the new LA Guns record. So I'm going to do that by popular or by request. I'm going to do a track-by-track of the new LA Guns record, which is called The Devil You Know, I think it's called. I'm going to play a song now, and I'll come back and play a couple more audio comments. The song I'm going to play is a brand new song from DAD. Their first new tune in like 11 years or something like that? No, first new tune in 8 years. They got a new album coming out. I'm not sure when it's coming out, but I'm looking forward to it. This is a brand new song called Burning Star. If you know, somebody posted this on Greg Brofer, friend of the show, posted this on the Rock and Roll Geek Facebook page. And thank you, Greg, for posting it, because I did not know about a new DAD song. And I always get excited when anything from this band comes on. Anyway, he posted it on the Facebook Rock and Roll Geek Facebook page. And last night I went down a rabbit hole and just started watching DAD videos on YouTube. And man, that band is so good. I thought that I did a greatness. I used to do these shows where I would do the greatness of. I did a greatness of Pete Way, the greatness of the Babies. I did the greatness of Chrissy Amphlett. I thought I did one on DAD, but I couldn't find it on rockandrollgeek.com. So if I did one, can you let me know, rockandrollgeek@gmail.com? And if I didn't, I think I'm going to have to do a bonus episode on the greatness of DAD, because that band, do yourself a favor, friends. If you don't know anything besides Sleeping My Day Away, look at their catalog, because you will thank me. That album, Everything Glows, top to bottom, fantastic album. Anyway, they have a brand new song out called Burning Star, and I think it's really good. Here's brand new DAD.
Blind to the walls you made of
Yeah, that song is great. I am looking forward to a new DAD album. Man. We went down to see them play. Me and Eric Lannon, the old drummer for American Heartbreak, we went down to see DAD. They came to the United States, this was probably 8 years ago. They did like 3 shows. They did like 4 shows. They did a couple of shows in New York or somewhere on the East Coast, and then they came down to LA. They played at the Whiskey, and then they played the next night at some hotel like a hotel cafeteria in Long Beach. The Whiskey show was crowded, and we were in the front row, and I was geeking out big time. That's Stig Peterson guy, man, coolest bass player. That show was crowded. It was great, and Bob Nalbandian from Shockwave Skull Sessions, he and I went backstage and interviewed them afterwards for Bob's show, and we went down the next night to watch them in Long Beach. There was about 30 people there. They played like it was an arena. They're huge in where they're from in Denmark. They're huge. They're like a headlining arena act or even stadium. I don't know. They headline big huge festivals over there in Europe, and they played in front of like 30 people in this hotel ballroom in Long Beach, and they played a great show. Man, it was so good. They didn't even, it was like they didn't even care that there was nobody there. They just played like they were fucking greatest band. Oh, I love DAD so much. I could go on and on about it. I'll save it for the greatness of DAD episode. And I'll probably do like Eddie Trunk does and repeat myself. But I apologize for that. In advance for repeating myself. All right, another show review or an audio comment. I'm not sure who this is from.
Hey, Michael Butler. Jason Smith here from Kentucky.
Hey, Jason Smith from Kentucky. Turn you up a little bit here. All right.
Leaving you another audio comment. Hey, I just got back from Cleveland, Ohio. And
boy, are your arms tired. All right.
I know everybody's been hyping up this Motley Crue movie, The Dirt. I haven't gotten a chance to see it yet. I was too busy seeing this other new movie. Just came out. A new documentary about Stiv Bators.
Huh. It is funny you sent me this show review or this movie review, Jason, because on Wednesday night, I went to see this documentary in San Francisco at a little place called the Balboa Theater. So we can compare notes. When I went, this was like a punk rock high school reunion. Everybody from the old Chatterbox scene. There was a bar that Stevie Sletto, my old band, used to play at called the Chatterbox. Tons of people from that scene were at this show. The theater was packed full of old punk rockers, and we'll compare notes, Jason.
And they had the world premiere of this movie called Stiv. No Compromise, No Regrets by director Danny Garcia.
Yeah, I'm going to interrupt you again. American Heartbreak's old guitar player, Adam Beckvar, his name was in the credits, and I was expecting to see him in the movie, but put the scissors down. I'm fidgeting while I'm talking. Adam Beckvar, old guitar player for American Heartbreak, his name was in the credits, and I was waiting to see him in the movie, but he wasn't in it. And I talked to him and asked him about it. He said that he was supposed to record a song. He did record a song with one of the guys from the Disconnected Stiv solo band, and somehow it didn't make it to the movie. But yeah, back to you, Jason.
On Saturday, March 23rd at the Cleveland Institute of Art inside the Peter B. Lewis Theater, something Cinematheque. So I got tickets for it a couple months ago. Booked a room up at the Holiday Inn Express in downtown. Got 2 tickets to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Wow, you must be a huge Stiv fan.
Talked one of my buddies into coming with me. He didn't know anything about Dead Boys or Lords of the New Church. I think he was familiar with Guns N' Roses covering Ain't It Fun. Yeah. But he was really open to the experience, and he really wanted to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and have a good time. So we went up, and it was cool. So yeah, we drove 6 hours up there. I went to pick him up in Indiana, and off we went.
6 hours!
Checked into our hotel room once we got there.
You are you got me beat, friend. I would not drive 6 hours to go see any movie, but kudos to you, Jason Smith.
Now, I knew some people from Facebook, actually, some old Cleveland locals. I don't want to call them old, but they're a couple, and they're roughly 55 to 60 years old, somewhere in there.
It's my age.
The boyfriend actually knew Stiv back in the day. And from what he said, wasn't really crazy about Stiv. Kind of thought he was an asshole.
Oh, yeah?
But he liked the music a lot, and he was willing to go. And I'd never met this person before.
Some of the footage in that movie, I'll save for when you talk about it.
Chatted on Facebook a lot, and it was a really cool thing to meet her. She drove us around, which was great because I'm kind of a country boy living in the sticks. And city driving in a place like Cleveland was just not something I really wanted to do.
Big city folk.
So I got relieved of that. That was great.
Yeah.
And
Trust me, I'd rather live in Kentucky than the big cities, Jason.
We drove around and found the place. It was
Played
pretty
many
easy.
gigs in Kentucky when I was in. Sorry to interrupt. In Kentucky, was it Newport? Which one? What city's right on the other side of Cincinnati? We played. There was the Jockey Club. That was the name of the place. The Jockey Club. Stevie Sletto, my old band, played many gigs at the Jockey Club.
Fine, because the parking lot were full of some older folk wearing leather jackets with safety
old
pins
punk
in
rock.
them.
Yep, same as in San Francisco.
And buttons and things like that, and painted. Still rocking the punk look at their age, at least for the night.
Yeah, exactly.
For the event.
Exactly.
And we had about 45 minutes to kill before the movie started. The lobby was full of fans. Now, you got to understand about Cleveland, there's kind of, it wasn't just punk rock, but power pop was really huge in Cleveland.
Right.
There's a little bit of crossover between those two scenes.
Well, if you remember, that's Stiv Bators' Disconnected solo album, or if you call it a solo album, that Disconnected albums, it's pretty much all power pop.
Met a lot of really cool, interesting people. Everybody was really friendly there. So definitely kind of an older demographic, but I did see some younger people wearing mohawks and, with their hair painted different colors and kind of doing that, throwback to the old school days.
Having a good time.
So that was cool. They had a really good store going on, a little merch table. And on it, they had some T-shirts, both Stiv and Dead Boys. They had some posters. They had some photography and art prints for sale. They had a book written by Frank Sesich, played with Stiv Bators and wrote a book about it, and I forget what it was called, but anyway, that was for sale there. Those guys were behind the merch table. So you really had an opportunity to talk to some of these local Cleveland legends, and it was amazing.
Yeah, and if you ever read that book, Please Kill Me, the punk rock book, Oral History, which was one of the greatest rock books made. My three favorites, The Dirt, Walk This Way, and Please Kill Me. It started off, or a good part of the book was about Cleveland and Dead Boys and Stiv and Frankenstein and Rocket from the Tombs and Pere Ubu.
Anyway, we finally got inside the theater. It was it's kind of they show indie films there. The place opened in 2015. It's got about a 300 capacity. Tickets were $15 to start. I bought them at $15. They reduced the price down to $10. I think that helped them sell the place out. They sold out all their tickets, 300 of them. Amazing. So they said that was the best night in their history.
Oh, good. Good for them.
That particular movie. And it was designed with really good acoustics, had a really state-of-the-art sound system, high definition.
Not the one I went to. Balboa Theater is an old theater, and it's an old place and it's kind of a dump. And the sound system in that theater was not great, nor was the video quality, but it's okay.
Digital screen.
I like those old theaters, by the way. I saw the same place I went to see the Stiv documentary. I saw Bruce Campbell, a movie there. I forget which one it was, Man with Two Heads or something like that. And Bruce Campbell did a Q&A. Good times. I got an ID from him for the Rock and Roll Geek Show at that time. But anyway, I digress. Back to you, Jason.
Just a wonderful place to see a movie. Didn't have any concessions, though. No, you would have probably sneaked some beer in, but we didn't.
As a matter of fact, I snuck 4 beers into the Stiv Bators documentary, but this movie theater sells beer, so I didn't really have to, but I did anyway. I got popcorn and Raisinets and snuck 4 beers in.
And, so we started watching the movie finally. It was introduced by the director of the place through the staff. He came out and introduced us, thanked everybody for coming.
When I went, the movie was introduced by this guy who, was one of the staff of the movie theater, but there was another guy there that did this zine in San Francisco called Search and Destroy, and he did some. He told some Stiv anecdotes and things like that. It was entertaining.
What was coming up and blah, blah, blah. And then up came the movie, Stiv. Getting into a review of it, I've seen this guy's other flicks. Danny Garcia, he's got a movie called Looking for Johnny about Johnny Thunders.
Oh, was that the
and
same
another
guy?
one called Sad Vacation about Sid and Nancy. I like those movies a lot.
I did not see either of those movies. I heard the Johnny Thunders movie was good.
He seems to be very passionate about punk. And I thought it was probably going to be just as good as those movies. And it was. Basic kind of biographical documentary. Starts off with Stiv's early life in Youngstown, Ohio. Kind of moves through the years when he moved to Cleveland.
Notice in the Youngstown, Ohio, when he was doing the Frankenstein, he had this band called Frankenstein. He had the same exact stage presence, was doing, the same Stiv moves and all that. Like if you're a Dead Boys fan, you've seen footage of them at CBGB's when he's crawling around on the floor and stuff like that. And he looked pretty much the same. He did the same cool stuff. So he was rock and rolling back even in the beginning days. And
he played in Frankenstein, which turned into the Dead Boys later. And then they went to New York City, got signed to Sire Records, and then he moved off to L.A., joined the Wanderers, did some solo stuff. Then he moved off to the U.K. to be in Lords of the New Church, and this is a spoiler alert, he dies in Paris.
Yeah, I think everybody knows that, but thank you for saying that, Jason. Did you notice that Cheetah Chrome was not in the movie? My friend Adam from American Heartbreak, one of the early guitar players from American Heartbreak, said that that Cheetah Chrome refused to take part in any of the. He refused to be interviewed for it, and same with Brian James from Lords of the New Church, also refused to be in it.
Of his life there in Paris,
and I was expecting to see B.B. Buell in it too, because B.B. had a brief relationship with Stiv, and she knew him. I figured she'd be in it. Martha Quinn dated Stiv Bators. She was not in it either. So, also Michael Monroe, one of Stiv Bators' best friends, was not interviewed for the movie either.
That was about it. It had some really good footage of Frankenstein that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah, me
it was
too.
Pretty amazing.
Really good footage.
Good pictures from that era. A lot of the other stuff I've seen on YouTube. Some of the live footage. There was some Lords of the New Church footage I hadn't seen before. And it was a cool flick. Now, one thing that I noticed right away, it's missing several relevant people.
Well, there you go. See? I should have listened to your audio comment, but I don't listen to audio comments before I play them. But you're going to say the same thing as me, probably, Jason.
Where the hell were Cheetah Chrome and Johnny Blitz? They were not interviewed, and I don't know what happened. But
only Jimmy Zero was the only one.
Definitely seemed.
I didn't know Johnny Blitz was still alive, because remember he got stabbed way back in the New York days. But yeah, they were not in it.
To be missing that, and not only that, I would have expected Michael Monroe, and Brian James to be in it, and they were not in it.
Why?
I don't know what the story is on that. There's a little bit of gossip floating around. Some people have chosen to protest the movie. They're pretty quiet about it. Nobody's really doing it.
That's what my friend Adam told me. I don't understand. Is that guy the guy who made the movie, was he an asshole or something?
Mudslinging about it or anything, but some people for various personal reasons decided not to participate and not to go see it. The rest of us, though,
don't you think it's kind of disrespectful to the memory of Stiv? Maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Still as good as it could be, missing those people. Another thing I didn't like about.
By the way, that's Jason shuffling around. This is me.
They seem to treat his.
This is me shuffling around stuff in my office, and the other sound you heard was Jason. Okay.
Gothic, post-punk kind of synth pop.
All right, I'm interrupting. Let me back it up a little bit.
It's really doing any mudslinging about it or anything, but some people for various personal reasons decided not to participate and not to go see it. The rest of us, though, it was still as good as it could be, missing those people.
That's Jason, not me.
Another thing I didn't like about the movie is they seem to treat his gothic, post-punk kind of synth pop era. That would be like Lords of the New Church.
Yeah, early Lords.
Some of his solo stuff. As I think one of the commenters called it cheesy.
No, see, I disagree with the solo stuff. That Disconnected album, I think, is a quality album.
And they seem to downplay it a little bit. And I didn't agree with that because I think that just judging by the movie, Stiv was versatile. Stiv, he wasn't going to keep Dead Boys in the long haul, I don't think. He wasn't going to keep...
Do you remember, because in the movie, sorry to keep interrupting, Jason, but that's just what I do. In the movie, they talked about very briefly talked about the Dead Boys reunited. This was like maybe the early 90s or late 80s. Dead Boys briefly reunited and did a tour. And they didn't talk about it too much, but they just did say it was a failed reunion. I was living at the Metroplex in Atlanta, Georgia when they reunited, and they were horrible.
You keep playing, it wasn't going to be like the Rolling Stones where they were supposed to still be together in 30 years. He was always looking for something fresh, something new, a new image, a new sound. He was just like that, and they kind of seemed to emphasize Dead Boys and kind of blew off some of his other stuff. I didn't like that too much. Some repetitive footage in there. It looked like they maybe didn't have enough footage. There was one particular piece of footage they kept playing over and over where Stiv was on a boat pulling his pants down. He had his cock and balls tucked between his legs.
Yeah, Stiv was very... that was his go-to move, I guess you could say.
And he kind of just goofing off with that, and they kept playing that scene over and over, and that was a little bit annoying. Jimmy Zero was in it. The other guitar player from Dead Boys that wasn't Cheetah Chrome, he was featured in it. Dave Traguna from Lords of the New Church was in it. They've got some commentary from Cynthia Ross, who was actually his girlfriend in New York City in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s at the Chelsea Hotel. And I'll tell you what, older lady, she is smoking hot.
Yeah, she still looked good. She did look good.
Really fine woman.
Yeah.
They had some commentary from them. Lee Rocker from the Stray Cats was in it.
Yep.
Is that his name?
Because the Stray Cats, I did not know this in the movie, but Stray Cats put them up when they went to England or something like that. They put Stiv up for a while.
There was, and some of the locals. There was Frank Sesich, who was in the band Blue Ash and played with Stiv too. But I just checked out this band Blue Ash, and amazing kind of rockin' power pop from the early 70s. So I found that on Google Play Music. They've actually got some of that up there to stream, and
I'll have to look for that.
It's worth your time. That just as a side note there. It was a pretty good flick, but I tell you what, the event itself kind of overshadowed the movie. The movie was good and everything, but the Q&A that they did afterwards was even better. After the movie was over and the credits...
I think they were supposed to be doing a Q&A in San Francisco and with the filmmaker, and the filmmaker ended up not showing for some reason.
Rolling, they let everybody kind of step out and get some fresh air, smoke cigarettes, go to the bathroom, whatever. Come back in 5 minutes. They're going to start the Q&A, and so we did that. The staff hunted me down. They asked me, "Are you from Kentucky?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Well, yeah, Jimmy Zero said there's somebody here from Kentucky that drove a really long way, and stick around. He wants to meet you. Make sure you talk to him before you leave." I was like, "Wow, that's really cool." So anyway,
Jimmy Zero still looked good for his age too, didn't he?
Q&A session starts. The Q&A session is Frank Sessage from Blue Ash, Jimmy Zero, David Quinton, the drummer of the Disconnected Band, and Eddie Best from the Disconnected Band.
Eddie Best recorded the song with Adam, my friend Adam, for the movie, and it didn't make it to the movie, but yeah.
And it was moderated by Howard Kramer, who's the former curator at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And it was just asking questions about Stiv Bators. What was he like? What were the stories? These guys could have gone on for days, I think, with stories about crazy shit Stiv did. And typical rock star stuff. And probably a lot of similar activity to what went on in Motley Crue's Dirt movie, I would imagine.
Yeah. Except
some pretty good stories.
Except that nobody bragged about it like Motley Crue did.
That was the highlight of it for me. In fact, if you want to watch it, it's on YouTube. So you would probably Google Stiv Cleveland Q&A session. I think something like that it's called. I can give you the link if you need it later. But
yeah, do me a favor, Jason. Post that on the Rock and Roll Geek. Post it when I post this episode on the Rock and Roll Geek Facebook page, which I did not create, but I do approve people. You just have to answer 2 questions, so I know you're not a Russian hacker. Post that in the comments, the link to that. I would appreciate it, friend.
It was amazing.
If you hear this episode.
Lasted about 30 minutes, and then once the Q&A session was over, I did as they said. I went to go meet Jimmy Zero, and we had some conversation about Dead Boys. He was almost in tears. Stiv had meant a lot to him, and it was, he said without Stiv, I wouldn't really be anything. And
I wonder if Stiv knew how much he meant to him.
He was just so appreciative, especially for the young people. I think he was like, this is not.
And isn't it interesting that Cheetah Chrome is out doing gigs as the Dead Boys, and he refused to be in a Stiv documentary? I don't get it.
For you, this is
he must have a hard on for that for the filmmaker. I guess
music that you love, and it's fresh to you. And he was really appreciative of everybody, and talked to a lot of people. I think just meeting Jimmy Zero made the trip worth it. And he's not really one of the more famous members of the Dead Boys. We talked for about 10 minutes.
If I remember right, looking at the songwriting credits on on both those 2 Dead Boys albums, I think he had a lot of songwriting credits
or something like that. And it was a good movie. We split, went to the we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame the next day and had a good time up there at an open mic, and then went home. But anyway, I would say worth the drive just for the event. The movie, you could probably wait to see it when it comes out on YouTube for rental, as all the other Danny Garcia movies are. It was a good flick, worth your time.
How out of it am I? I didn't know YouTube rented movies.
And that's all I got. So, Stiv, no compromise, no regrets. You'll be seeing it soon. All right, thank you, Michael Butler. Have a good day.
All right, thanks, Jason. All right, we'll play a song, and then we'll come back. I got one more audio comment, then we'll do the LA Guns album review. All right, here's something from Disconnect, the Stiv Bators solo album. Speaking of power pop, this is called A Million Miles Away.
Nothing puts new, but you can't go. 'Cause I'm with the girl who's got
There you go. Stiv Bators, Disconnected. Million Miles Away. If you don't have that, go look for that album. That's a good one. If you're into kind of nuggets, there's like part covers and part original. It's a good album. I like that album a lot. All right, one more audio comment, and then we'll get to the by popular demand or by request, the LA Guns track by track review.
Hey, Michael Butler, it's Jason Smith from Kentucky.
Oh, it's Jason Smith again. Nice to talk to you, Jason. Long time no hear.
And I'm leaving you an audio comment about a show I went to last night, March 13th, 2019. I went to go see the Supersuckers at the Tiger Room in Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville. I don't know how you pronounce it where you're from. The locals pronounce it Louisville. But that's where they were at for their 30th anniversary tour. And I got a ticket for $15 and went with a buddy of mine. It was a Wednesday night show. And it was kind of a cool venue. It's actually kind of a back room of a topless bar called Trixie's Cabaret. And there was a really famous nightclub once upon a time called the Toy Tiger. I don't know if you've heard of it. All the hair bands used to play there, and it was a great place to score drugs back in the 80s. And they closed down many years ago. And they've kind of resurrected the name and the logo for this little room at the titty bar that they call the Tiger Room. So that's where they played. And they were opening, the opening acts were Vice Tricks, a local Louisville band, kind of a psychobilly rock and roll kind of thing. And a band from Philadelphia called the Riverside Odds, who have been on tour with the Supersuckers, I guess, for this leg of the U.S. part of it. And so those were the opening acts. I've never seen the Supersuckers before. This was the first time for me. Wouldn't really say I'm a big fan.
I believe the Butlers opened for Supersuckers at in San Jose, California, or San Carlos. We didn't stay. We stayed for a couple songs. I'm not a huge Supersuckers fan. I got nothing against them, but I don't know anything really much about them. I have a few of their songs.
Familiar with a few of their songs, so as a disclaimer, I don't really have the name of every song that they played because some of it wasn't familiar to me. Either way, great experience. Just as a note, they're now down to a 3-piece version of the lineup, so this is nowhere near
same when I saw
being the original lineup that started in 1988. So this has a recent kind of newcomer to the band. When I say recent, I mean 10 years ago. Metal, Marty Chandler on guitar, Christopher Von Stryker on drums, and of course Eddie Spaghetti,
who had cancer. I guess he beat it. I don't know.
Original member of the band on bass and vocals. So, speaking of vocals, about 2 years ago, Eddie had throat cancer.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And he recovered from it. He was down for a while, so I don't know if it had to do with the throat cancer or just the fact that they've been on the road for a long time, but it was immediately obvious from the first note he sang. His voice was really different, really rough, almost limmy at times, and didn't really sound like the young version of Eddie Spaghetti. But that did not keep me from enjoying the show, and they were, pretty good anyway. Just as a rundown of the set, they started off with an intro tape, Eruption by Van Halen. It was kind of bookended with some Van Halen stuff, so it was open with Eruption and closed with Running with the Devil at the end.
Right.
And they started off with, these are the 4 new tracks or newer tracks that they played, All of the Time, The History of Rock and Roll, which you might check out. They had a video of that. That's on their most recent album. I forget the name of it, but they have an official video of it, and it name drops a lot of their peers, like the Dwarves, Nashville Pussy, GEEK. Just kind of name checks all their friends' bands, and how notes how they're going to be a minor footnote in rock and roll. Worth checking out that track. I loved it. And 2 other songs, Dead Inside and Breaking My Balls. And from there, they switched over into their country set. And Eddie did a lot of storytelling between songs that I really appreciated. There was a lot of banter. they got 30 years of history to draw from, but I appreciated this part of it. In the 90s, they deviated from their punk sound and started playing country music. They just switched over to playing country, and it alienated some of their fans, which Eddie talked about that, how, we started playing country music, and you guys let us know you didn't like it. But he said over the years that country record has become the best-selling Supersuckers album ever.
That usually is the case when people pan an album, like when Motorhead did that album "Another Perfect Day." People hated it, but I think it's their best album. It happens all the time. Good for them.
And I'm not familiar with all the tunes that they did. It sounded kind of country, but it lacked the country production, like the touches. It didn't have any pedal steel on it. It didn't have any fiddle.
Yeah,
it was just a three-piece band playing the stuff from their country record. So it still sounded kind of rocking. It was pretty cool. This I thought was neat. After they were finished with their country set, they turned it into this kind of choose-your-own-adventure thing. I guess they're kind of a fans band. So they've been advertising that they're going to play the Smoke of Hell album in its entirety, followed by the La Mano Cornuda album in its entirety. And he said they didn't have time to do both of those, so they had an option A or an option B. Option A, you could hear the La Mano Cornuda album.
Whatever.
I don't know what it was called, but you could hear that album in its entirety, or they would play The Evil Powers of Rock and Roll in its entirety, plus requests. And then they would do the greatest hits, and they did not do their fake encore. But anyway, that's what the crowd chose. Option B, The Evil Powers of Rock and Roll plus requests. So everybody was screaming for the option B. So that's what they did. Off of that one, I didn't recognize too much of it. Evil Powers of Rock and Roll title track. There was a song going back to Tucson, some song called Dead Meat. Anyway, they played the whole record there, and when they got to the hits, that was their song "Pretty Fucked Up." They did "Born with a Tail," a couple other songs I didn't recognize. And they did a cover of Thin Lizzy Cowboy Song, a three-piece band trying to pull that off, and I thought they did a pretty good job on it. And they did not do their patent-pending fake encore that they usually do because time constraints. They just ran out of time. So they all came out and took the big bow at the end, and everybody went home. So that was it. The Supersuckers. I thought they were pretty good. I really enjoyed watching Metal Marty Chandler. He just plays like he does not give a fuck. That's the only way I can describe it. He's got this kind of Keith Richards swagger to him. The word swagger definitely comes to mind seeing him. He upstaged Eddie quite a bit, I thought. It was worth admission price just to check out this guy. You would think the way he played... he would, it sounded sloppy, like he would miss notes and stuff, but no, it was all tight and just played with complete abandon. The man was amazing. Eddie, I was impressed with his ability to sing and play bass. Of course, he's been doing it for 30 years, but I play bass myself, and I cannot sing and play bass, especially when it comes to walking bass lines, which he was doing during that country set. And I was impressed with that. The vocals were kind of gnarly, but it was still cool. Not too much to say about that, but I just thought I would call and let you know they're on tour. Hopefully they're coming to San Francisco. I would definitely check them out. Well worth $15. Probably not the most awe-inspiring show I've ever seen, but it was good. It was worth going to. Anyway, I'm going to be going up to Cleveland, Ohio next weekend. I'm going to see the documentary about Stiv Bators called Stiv. That is, I'll give you all the details about that. I'll be calling in with that review.
It's been a long
pretty soon.
Obviously, okay, you get it.
So, doing some pretty
Sorry it took so long to get to your Supersuckers review, Jason.
Things lately, so I'll keep you posted. Anyway, I'm just rambling at this point, so
All right.
go see the Supersuckers. Have a good day.
All right. You too can leave an audio comment or a movie review or show review like Jason did, and I will play it on the show. I won't listen to it before the episode because if I did, I would have probably saved this one for another episode because I usually don't like to play 2 comments from the same guy, but that's the way it goes, friends. All right. Are you ready? Oh, all right. Yeah. Leave me an email, rockandrollgeek@gmail.com. Record it into your phone. Email it to me. You know how to do it. I already told you that earlier. All right. You ready to do the LA Guns track by track of The Devil You Know? Okay. There are 11 songs on this album. Well, there's a bonus track, so I'm assuming we'll just call it 11 songs. This is their second album since Tracy Gunn's return. I forget who asked me to do an LA Guns track by track, but whoever did, thank you. I'm doing it for you, friend. This is the second album since Tracy Guns came back. And this is their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Their 12th studio album since the band was in existence. My old friend and bandmate when I play in the Plunkets, Mick Cripps, was a founding member of LA Guns, and he's the guy who wrote most of their hits, I believe. He's not in the band anymore, but Tracy Guns, Phil Lewis, my friend Johnny Martin, who played bass he played with Jesse Malin for a while. He also played in Chelsea Smiles. He's kind of like before he joined LA Guns, he's been with LA Guns for a few years now, but he's kind of been like a hired gun bass player. But now he's playing with LA Guns. He's been on a few albums of theirs, I believe. He's in the band. A guy named Ace Von Johnson and Scott Coogan from Ace Frehley's band is playing drums. There are 11 songs. I'm sorry. So there's 11 songs. You know the drill. When I like a song, I give it a +1. If I don't like it, I give it a 0. And if it's okay, I'll give it a half. And then I tally it all up and we'll divide that by 11. So if I like every song on the album, it'll be 11 out of 11. All right. You ready to do this? All I have is the MP3s. I don't know who produced it. It sounds like they did it at their home studio, to be honest with you. The production is kind of low budget sounding, I guess would be the word, but yeah, we'll listen. I'm going to give this. I've listened to it almost all the way through once. I'm going to give it the word is unbiased. I'm going to try my best to give this an unbiased review. I'm not a huge LA Guns fan. I got nothing against the band. I do like Mick Cripps, and Tracy Guns is shredding guitar player, and is a nice guy too. Butler's played with them last year at a place called the Cornerstone, and they were really, really nice people to us, and I have nothing bad to say about them as people. We also played the next night we played with them about a week later at a place in Santa Rosa called House of Rock, and we shared their dressing room with them. They said we could hang out in their dressing room because they were nice to us, and we were so nice to them that we left with some of their wine when they were on stage. Okay, yeah, that's the kind of assholes we are. All right, so I'm going to give this an unbiased review. In all honesty, they probably weren't going to drink it anyway. I just took one bottle. It wasn't the band that took it. It's me. I took a bottle of their wine. All right. So sue me. All right, so there's 11 songs. All right, I just told you the drill. First song is called Rage. I don't know who wrote what. I'm going to assume that Tracy and Phil wrote most of these tunes. You can hear the kind of low-budget production.
Don't give me no bullshit, baby, and pretend it's
Phil Lewis, 62 years old, still sounds pretty good for 62. Alright, a little generic sounding, if you want my honest opinion. Phil Lewis sounds good. Little back in the mix. A little bit of a memorable chorus, I guess. I'll get it through the solo.
You got a little bit of, I got a lot of it. You got a little bit of, I got more coming. I got plenty more than you. Got fucking rocket.
All right, basically one riff going over and over again. Tracy, let's hear it! All right, Tracy, let's hear it! All right, Tracy, let's hear the solo. All right, solo's shredding. Solo's the best part of the song. The rest of the song, not that great. I'm going to give it a half. That's a generous half at that. All right, second song, Stay Away. Shredding. A little metal. Now, I'm not an authority on LA Guns, but this sounds more like their old stuff. A little kind of catchy. All right, let's get into the solo. All right, let's hear a little guitar solo. Yeah, Tracy Gunn's a great guitar player. harmony solo. Again, solo, best part of the song. That solo was great. The song itself, not great. It's okay. I'm leaning towards a weak 1, but I'm going to give it a strong half. All right, third song, Loaded Bomb. Loaded Bomb. Loaded Bomb. Oh, Led Zeppelin. Immigrant song, right? Chorus is pretty good. That's pretty good. I'm gonna get it to the solo. Ladies and gentlemen, on lead guitar, Tracy Guns. Take it away, Tracy. Tracy, get to solo. Tracy. A nice slide playing. Breakdown. All right. Catchy chorus. Great, tasty solo. I could do without the Led Zeppelin influence, but I'm giving this one a +1. Great guitar playing. Tracy Guns, underrated guitar player. He's up there with. He's as good. Slash is all revered as like a great lead guitar player. I think Tracy Guns blows him away. Alright, I'll give it a +1. Next song, The Devil. We'd like to play for you the title track of our new album. Our 18th album, or whatever it is. Our second album with Tracy back with the boys. I'd like to welcome Tracy back in the band. I'm going to do the title track. The Devil, You Know. And Tracy said, I'm going to write something that's like a Black Sabbath tune. Gonna do a sludge rock tune. When I was listening to this on my way fishing this morning, I was like, I don't really like this. But then after the song was over, I found myself singing the song in my head. So I kind of like that. As cheesy and cliche metal as Sabbath sound as it is, I kind of like it. Told me you're the devil. See, I'm singing along. That's a good sign. I gotta find out what the tuning is. I think it's just tuned down a half step. I like that part. If they were playing this live, would people go to the bathroom? They might. Let's get into the solo. Oh, wait a minute. Tempo change. Total Sabbath. The Rambo! You know, there's something kind of charming about it. They're not... Like I did that Tesla track by track, and I said something like, these old bands are trying to sound relevant. I don't think LA Guns is really trying to sound relevant. I think they're just fuck it, let's just record some tunes. Which is one of the good things probably having your own home studio. You can just say, fuck it, let's record some tunes. All right, that song's kind of growing on me, but just to keep my rock credibility, I'll give it a half. All right, fifth song, Needle to the Bone. A little pop sounding. Kick slide, I like that. bit of a simple song, but so far I think this is my favorite one of all the ones we've listened to so far. There's something almost punk rock sounding about this record. That's probably because of the low budget sound production.
It's like a needle hitting straight to the bone, but you know, it's like a needle hitting straight
Alright,
to
get it to the solo.
but you know, it's like a needle hitting straight to the bone. Now you know.
Ladies and gentlemen, on lead guitar, Mr. Tracy Guns. Oh, it's going downhill. Again, when Tracy comes in with his solo, it makes a song. Look at that fucker shred. That guy's a ripping guitar player. Yeah, that was a badass solo. I'll give that one a +1. All right, next song, Going High. Going High. Sounds like The Devil You Know. So far, this song's not doing it for me. All right, let's get it to the solo, where I think the solo is going to be. All right, I'm not doing it for it. I give that one a 0. All right, next song, Gone, Honey. Gone, Honey. Oh, you know what that reminds me a little bit of? Angel, the Tower. That's a sign from the tower. Let me back it up. Gone, Honey.
I'm gonna tell you something, you better listen right. Yeah, I got that honey, the foxy cat and tie. Yeah, we had a thing, but I've been gone for a while now, but you cling on. I know you want it, but I don't want it.
I like it, but it's missing something.
I said, what you didn't know the first time, you didn't want it from the start line. You wanna walk it, you can't walk it. It's gonna burn your life.
Maybe it's not really going anywhere. I like that riff though, and I don't dislike the vocal melody.
Go away. You try to cut, baby, cut me, but your words just cut so light. Now you're not that clever.
Fairly catchy.
Whatever, 'cause you never get it right. You want, baby, want me.
All right, try to get it to a solo here.
While the low, yeah, oh yeah, ooh, you gotta let it go. Yeah, ooh, you gotta let it go.
Ladies and gentlemen, on lead guitar, Mr. Tracy Guns.
Yeah, you gotta let it go.
Oh, that's your cue, Tracy. I'll try it again. Ladies and gentlemen, Tracy Guns. I like that. A little panning of the vocals. Alright, I'll give it a half. Had the potential to be a 1. Next song, Don't Need to Win. I don't need to win. I like that riff. It sounds like old LA Guns. I don't love it though. So far I'm giving it a half. I like the chicken scratch. Alright, let's get into the solo. Ladies and gentlemen, on lead guitar, Tracy Guns! Breakdown.
Sometimes in the flashing lights, do you see your love passing, flashing by? Sometimes in the flashing lights, do you see?
Now, I do like a breakdown in a song.
Sometimes in the flashing lights, do you see your love passing, flashing by? Don't cry 'cause I'm
I'm giving it a half. I can't bring myself to a 1. All right, next song, Down That Hole. I like the guitar riff. Drum sound is kind of cheap. It's kind of not great, but I like the guitar riff.
You better pick another road. This path will drag you.
This is not doing it for me so far.
Don't wait around, no one will save you. 'Cause time and tide will wait for no man. You're gonna fall down that hole, and you're not taking me with you. You know you're gonna fall down hard. You're gonna fall down that hole, and I'm not gonna go with you. Gravity's in control. First you gotta lose it all before you go take on the fight. Got a lot to learn before you're coming back now. Don't bother with the northern star or a guiding satellite. Only you can stop the fall back down, down, down. You gotta choose another side.
All right, I'm leaning towards a 0 on this one. Get it back. Let me get a little bit farther in the song.
You're coming back now. Don't bother with the northern star.
This part's okay.
Guiding satellite. Only you can stop the fall.
This part may bring it up to a half. Let's hear the solo.
You gotta fall down that hole. You gotta fall down that hole.
Well, you can tell Tracy Guns is a Page fan. Ladies and gentlemen, Tracy Guns! Again, solo, best part of the song. Guy rips. He just fucking rips. He's like Yngwie.
Dig yourself.
I'm sorry. I got to give that one a 0. I apologize, Tracy. Your solos are great, but that song's not good. All right. Next song. Another Season in Hell. Now, this is technically the last song, and there's a bonus track. I'm just going to continue. I'm going to consider the bonus track as just part of the album, all right? Because I had the 11-song version, so I'm going to do it out of 11. So, Another Season in Hell. Ooh, ballad. Oh, a little like Here Come the Tears from Priest. Bluesy. Tasty guitars. Ladies and gentlemen, on tasty guitar, Mr. Tracy Guns. With a little number we like to call Another Season in Hell.
Time cuts like a razor, downhill for me. Don't talk all the words that you swallow.
Good album closer.
That's the best mistake that I made. Pull up the curtain. Now I can see a wrong book with the right kind of cover.
All right, I'm going to let the boys play while I go to the bathroom. So give me a minute.
Take your promises that you made.
Not a great song, but I kind of like it. I'm going to get it to the solo. Or somewhere I think the solo is. Like a breakdown. Ladies and gentlemen, on lead guitar, Mr. Tracy Guns. Oh, the guy's a badass. The guy is just a fucking badass guitar player. And he's got a great guitar tone. Fucking dude shreds. Alright, for the solo alone, I gotta give that one a +1. Alright, last song. We are almost 2 hours into this episode. All right, friends. Value for value. rockandrollgeek.com. Click the donate button. All right. Last song. Bonus track. Boom. 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 What does that sound like? Crocus? Little bit of Tush, ZZ Top.
Hey there, angel. How low can you go? Just in danger.
Shit, it started off good and then it got crappy.
Without the means in the heart, you'll be running from the mean Hollywood party right at you. Just a click by your heels, bud. 1, 2, 3, start running away. 4, 5, 6, ready to play. 7, 8.
I'm not a big fan of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lyrics.
I give you a chance. If I hit 10, game over, friend. Oh yeah. Hey, hey, just play it. Hey, hey,
I like the Tush guitar riff.
play it. Hey, hey, just play it. Hey there, I'm talking to you, angel. How low can you go before you're human?
All right, this is going to be a very soft half. Let me hear the solo.
Just play it. Down for the fun, yeah. Now get it on. I got my sights on the danger. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, let me go.
All right, let's tally. I'll give you this one a half. Let's tally it up, shall we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 11. Now, see, I gave Tesla 6.5 out of 12, but I only gave LA Guns 6 out of 11.
Just play it. Hey, hey, just play it. Hey, hey, just play it. Hey, hey, just play it.
I think I'm being a little bit hard on this album. Well, hey, the scoring system is the scoring system, friends. I can't change it because I don't think it's scientific. 6 out of 11, that's my score. What do you want me to say? There's a chink in the Rock and Roll Geek scoring system armor, I guess. But 6 out of, you know, I think I was just a little too generous on the Tesla. I probably should have given the Tesla probably 5.5 out of 12. So LA Guns, 6 out of 11 is probably the right science. So I think the Rock and Roll Geek scoring system is in fact scientific. My scoring of it was not scientific. So, all right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this track by track of the new LA Guns album, The Devil You Know. One thing for sure, Tracy Guns is a monster guitar player, and Phil Lewis still sounds great at 62 years old. How old's Tracy Guns? Pull up the Wikipedia and see how old he is. I'm going to guess 58. Shit, he's only 53 years old. He's younger than me. Huh. Phil Lewis, almost 10 years older than him. Well, the guy's a badass guitar player. And he's younger than me. Motherfucker. All right. Friends, I'm wrapping this up because I've got a buzz. I got to go fish in the morning. I'm wrapping this thing up. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for listening, friends. If you disagree with me on the LA Gun score, send me an email to rockandrollgeek@gmail.com with the subject line Butler. You're out of touch. LA Guns rules. Tesla rules. The In Machine rules, and you suck donkey dicks. Put that in the subject line, rockandrollgeek@gmail.com. If you agree with me that the LA Guns album is worth a 6 out of 11, send me an email to rockandrollgeek@gmail.com with the subject line Butler. Once again, the Rock and Roll Geek scoring system has done it. Just put that in the subject line. All right, I'm losing it. rockandrollgeek@gmail.com. Find me on the Facebook, R&R Geek. Find me on the Instagram, Rock and Roll Geek Don't Ask. Find me on the Twitter, R&R Geek. I'm going fishing in the morning. Thank you for listening, friends. I'm not going to close out with a song. I'm just going to close out with the train wreck. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you soon, friends.
It's a Rock and Roll Geek train wreck.